right. Welcome everybody to the first ever CaRCC Annual Community Update. For those of you who have been around a while, you will remember this event formally being called the CaRCC Parade. But we've changed the name, and part of the reason we did that is because we are moving forward with our progress toward becoming a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And one of the things we will have to do related to that is have an annual meeting of the members. And so we decided to add a little bit of formality into the process in anticipation of that happening. So thank you all for coming today. I think most of you probably know me, but my name is Daphne McCanse. I do communications for CaRCC and serve as the Transitional Board Secretary, among 5 or 6 other things. I am excited to kick us off and get us started. And sorry, my slides are not advancing. There we go. So the first thing I want to do is just give a quick overview of sort of where we are as an organization. CaRCC is now over 2,200 subscribers to the People Network lists within Wild Apricot. We know that there are also additional folks that engage with CaRCC that attend our calls and things that are not signed up for those lists. So we're pretty confident in saying that we are well over 2,200 people that are engaging with CaRCC. We just did an analysis the other day, so these numbers are pretty fresh. We have more than 480 different institutions represented among those subscribers, and hundreds of active volunteers. Another exciting thing is that we are at more than 9 years of CaRCC being in existence. And so I just want to start the parade by saying a big thank you to all of you. Most of you here, if not all of you, are active volunteers in the organization, and you're really the people that make this thing happen every day. And this is the reason we're here and able to have this presentation at all. So thank you all. So our first big announcement is the results of our Transitional Board election, and to give congratulations to our returning board members. These folks were initially elected to a 1-year term because we were setting up staggered terms for the board. Our intention is for board members to serve 3-year staggered terms from here. And these folks were all reelected after serving 1 year to a second term that will be 3 years long. So congratulations to Bob Freeman, Jason Sims, and James Wilgenbush. And that takes us to the People Network track updates, and I'm going to hand it off to Bob Freeman.
Great, thanks, Daphne, and welcome everybody. So just want to do a quick introduction. Ooh, am I frozen?
Nope. You're good.
Oh, okay, all right. It's my own one is frozen, so that's okay. All right, so for the People Network, go ahead and advance the slide, Daphne. Those of you who might not know, People Network was sort of the initial founding of CaRCC about 9 years ago, going in our 10th year. I was just realizing that yesterday. I was trying to pull together some of the numbers, but it's sort of an ongoing remote conference, if you will, that supports CaRCC mission as we have here, fostering, building, and a growing inclusive community of individuals, providing opportunities to leverage expertise, making available resources and products to the various groups, and then supporting networking and working together through our facings and the roles in different interest groups that we have. There are some changes afoot, which I'll allude to in a few minutes here, but the facings came about by what you face in your daily work from some workforce development workshops a number of years ago, and we have the 5 different tracks that we have listed right there. Go ahead, next slide. I just want to bring up a couple of highlights. It's a very broad strokes, but I thought it was worth mentioning, not going into too much detail. Some of the things that we've done collectively for all the tracks and track leadership, along with CaRC, is actually focusing on operational efficiency and lowering the burden for contributing. And what I mean by that is here we're really trying to streamline a lot of the call logistics. It does take a lot of effort to put on track calls, reducing the number of meetings that coordinators and volunteers are going to, and coordinating activities with the chairs at our monthly chairs meetings. And that's been a new change since the end of the year, where we're really trying to plan a lot of the activities together to really foster more communication and collaboration. Continue our focus on improving engagement and inclusion, really trying to keep the diversity of our track calls high, which all of our track coordinators will talk about. Also, our ongoing efforts towards May's Accessibility Month, and then also, as I mentioned, cross-track coordination and cross-track calls that we often will have. Succession and leadership is a focus. There's been work by the track coordinators and the other chairs to really put in a coordinated plan to rotate track leadership. So we bring in some fresh eyes and fresh minds. Not that those of us who have been around a while aren't fresh, but really trying to bring in some other expertise and really make the way for new leaders, and also to help reduce meeting and volunteer fatigue. And then finally, just organizational maturity. Simplifying CaRC has been a big effort, making it easier for our community members to understand, and also coming out of a number of the folks who are working in the People Network to come up with a CaRC handbook for volunteering. Plans for ahead, we have some new faces the folks will talk about. As I mentioned, working with the interest group on coordinated planning, and then increasing opportunities for calls across all the groups. So with that, I'm going to turn it over now to Deb McCaffrey, who's the head of one of the co-coordinators for the data-facing track. Go ahead, Deb.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming today. So some highlights from the data-facing track. We did get a new steering committee member, which has helped. And we had some particularly well-received topics. We highlighted the work that the Data Rescue Project has been doing, trying to preserve federal data sets as they were before this administration started changing them. We had the realities of academic data sharing project come, and we also saw Princeton's Tiger Data Service, which is in production now. But our plans for 2026, Amy and I have been coordinators for a long time, and we need to move on to other things. So we are looking very hard for some new coordinators. We're also trying to get more community input on topics this year, instead of just the steering committee kind of picking topics. And then I'd like to highlight one of our talks coming up. It's in April instead of May because the speaker can't do May. But for our accessibility topic, we are talking about data visualization and accessibility. Next slide, please. Cool. So speaking of needing coordinators, here is a bit about what it's like to be a coordinator. As mentioned, the coordinators are now part of the CaRC chairs meeting, and we plan topics with not just People Network, but also some of the interest groups now. That's an hour a month. Then our steering committee meets an hour a month. And then all the different call planning tasks that happen is about 1 hour a month. So if this is something you're interested in, it's about 3 hours a month. And benefits of being a coordinator. This satisfies any service components of job descriptions. If your job has some sort of service component to it, it's also a great chance for some leadership development. And you also get to become part of CARC decision making. So if anyone is interested, please let us know. And this goes for all the tracks. I think a few tracks are looking for new coordinators. So this is generally what it's like being a coordinator.
Thank you, Deb. Appreciate it. Next, we'll have up Amit Amrikar.
Thanks, Bob. So I'm Amit Amritkar. I'm at Penn State. I'm going to talk about the strategy and policy pacing track. So in 2025, we had a couple of new committee members, steering committee members. Pamela Reynolds from UC Davis and Mike Nevike from UVA joined the steering committee. And then Chuck Pawlowski joined as the co-coordinator, who's at NCSA. Then we had total 11 calls last year, and we focused on several different topics, especially around collaboration. Some of the topics that got a lot of attraction or were popular included the big data problem and planning for resilience and some infrastructure planning projects as well. So, and looking forward to 2026, as with most of the other tracks, quantum and AI are a big part of this track as well. Like how are people thinking about strategizing around those topics? Then statewide initiatives and partnerships is another big topic that we are focusing on this year. And there's ever-changing funding landscape that we are all going through. So discussions around that and how we can further improve collaboration. So that's kind of what is planned for 2026. And thanks to Deb. If you are interested in joining the track as a steering committee member or co-coordinator, just give us a shout out. Thanks.
Thanks, Amit. For researcher-facing track, we have Justin Booth.
Hello, Justin Booth from Michigan State University. Yes, I am the coordinator for the researcher-facing track. So in 2025, we had a number of calls on AI. So that was a big topic that folks wanted to hear about. We had a presenter in on AlphaFold. We worked with the AI facilitation interest group, and we discussed training and education and workforce development in this space. So that I think will continue to be another topic or another area of interest for 2026. Also, what's a great call we had was around research security. We also brought in an HPC to talk about their new intake process to do a better job of documenting what types of data people are using in the supercomputer. Lots of our compliance needs cannot be you really need your faculty to self-attest as to what data they have and what projects they have. So that was really interesting to hear how that university was doing that work. So we start off every January with plans for 2026 for call generation. We heard from our members that they really enjoy panel discussions. So we're going to try to do that more in 2026. Also, we're always interested in growing the steering committee. So new members there would be great. Next slide, please. Just want to do a big shout out to our steering committee. This is the group. We have a new member, Stephen from Tulane University. So we'll have some new blood on the call to help us get some new ideas moving. Part of our feedback in that January call was some of the concerns that were coming that I think are going to spin off into call topics are around these interesting topics, NSPM 30 through, VDI solutions. We also asked, what are the burning issues in your inbox? And research freezers came up, and same with research core services. So thanks.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Next we have, for Emerging Centers track, we have Jason Sims.
Hi, good afternoon or good morning, everybody, depending on where you're at. I'll try not to get the walk-off music played for me, but so 2025 saw the addition of a few strong members to our steering committee as well, which I think very much shows kind of how our track resonates within the general community, which is great. One highlight that we had was in August, we welcomed Kei Koizumi, who was formerly of the Office of Science, Technology, and Policy. He gave a great talk about science policy for impact in uncertain times, where we're all struggling through these times in one way or another, and so it was great to kind of have that fresh perspective on things. Even though we had an unconference in February of this year, it was something that had been brewing for 18, 24 months, something like that. And we finally brought it to fruition, and it was very successful, where we just kind of had this emergent decision on the topics that we would engage with. And then we broke off into groups, and we did that a couple of times, and it was really, really successful. We also kind of formalized a series of getting started with, which I think reflects the reality of our track, which emerging centers does not mean small. It does not even necessarily mean brand new itself. What it means is anyone who is starting a new initiative, regardless of your scale. And so, in that spirit, we have this getting started with kind of series that we're doing, as well as we began hearing some RCD origin stories. So, how did your center get started? What were the challenges, the successes that you had? So this year we'd like to do another unconference. We're going to do more of the getting started with. We'd love to partner with other tracks to kind of have mini series that kind of focus on a single topic. Love to hear more RCD origin stories. So if you're interested in telling yours, please get in touch. And then finally, we would love tighter engagement with other explicitly emerging centers, such as the Research Computing for Smaller Institutions group, MSIs, HBCUs, TCUs, HSIs. We'd love to add their voice. And there we go, the walk-off music. So I'll just wrap up there. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Who's doing that? Jennifer, Dana? So I did actually put a timer on now. And for systems facing, we're going to have, I think Nick Eggleston's here talking about their track.
That's me. Yeah, Matthew's actually traveling right now. So I am a brand new chair. I actually joined systems just after SC24, and I'll be taking over Brian Haymore's spot. And he's still very much active in CARC, but needed to devote more cycles to his day job. So I'm taking over for him. In 2025, we got 3 new steering committee members, and I'm one of them. So I guess I'm one of the good highlights from 2025. And we also have a fully staffed steering committee from all stages of careers and across academia and corporate world. So it's actually been really great to hear ideas come from a lot of different areas, and that's made 2025 really cool for us. We've talked about, I think, every way there is to provision a server, or at least the vast majority of them. Fan favorite event that we had was Kickstarting Your RCD Career. So we had speakers from early career, mid-career, and how to branch into leadership talk. And it was actually really neat for people of different stages to come and learn, how do I advance my career in this world that we're all in? We only did one AI focused meeting, so I guess we'll try to do better since everybody's very gung-ho on AI. We've already had our one meeting about quantum this year. That was our last one, which actually went fairly well. There was some very deep science going on. Went a little over my head, but it was a very cool topic. So check out the YouTube channel if you're interested in the quantum stuff. For 2026, we've got new plans for engagement. One of the things we've come up with is a brag day. So we've got a lot of people building a lot of cool things. They need a forum to share it beyond just the place they work. So we're going to give them that forum and let everybody who wants to talk have a couple of minutes to say, here's a cool thing that I've developed that I can share, kind of engage our audience more. Matthew's also made a really great member survey to try to capture what means the most to people. So we should be getting results from that here soon. And kind of on the technical side, we're digging more into hardware architecture, liquid cooling, some cool where are GPUs going versus where they've been, coprocessors, alternative architecture, kind of the hardware side, which we are the systems facing track. So hopefully some really cool stuff coming from systems this year.
Great. Thank you. So in closing, before I hand off, I just want to say thank you much to Rich Nepper and Brian Haymore for their service as past co-coordinators for their tracks. A welcome to Jason, Chuck, and thank you, Nick, for self-identifying as a new track coordinator. We really appreciate it. And thank you to all of the steering committee members as well. And the community also deserves a thanks. We had over 50 calls this past year and over almost 1,200 persons attending that we documented. So just from the Zoom call-in. So thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Daphne to talk about the interest in working groups. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. I always look forward to this event because there's just so much going on that even those of us that are central to CaRC can't keep up with everything. And so it's just so cool to hear what everybody's up to. So now we'll move on to talking about our interest in working groups. If for those of you who may not be familiar with these different types of groups, interest groups are groups that meet to talk around a certain, to have discussions around a certain topic, while working groups are ones that actually agree to produce materials or deliverables around a certain need that the community has. And first up, we'd like to welcome a brand new interest group. And Santiago or Jim, do you guys want to give us a little update on that and introduce yourselves?
Sure. Thanks, Daphne. Hi, everybody. Jim Lookabout here with Internet 2, one of the co-chairs for the new group. I met some of you, those of you who are chairs at the December chairs meeting, and it was my pleasure to meet you then. It is again today. I want to give a warm welcome to Santiago. He was away for some weeks on family leave, so a very hearty welcome back for Santiago, and I'd ask him to consider giving us a little intro of our new group.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim, and a very nice, thank you for the nice welcome. Pleased to meet everybody. I am Santiago Nunez-Corrales, and I serve as the Quantum Lead Senior Research Scientist at NCSA. And since PERC 25 and SC 25, we have had hints of a growing need to understand quantum computing and networking in the community. So for 2026, we're fortunate to have this quantum computing interest group, which is starting to embark in meetings, trying to get members together. And the core question we want to address is how do we anticipate and prepare for the growing role of quantum computing across our community? This is a challenging topic. This is also an exciting one, but in terms of cyber infrastructure and advanced computing, we need to be prepared, and probably we can do a much better job than we did with artificial intelligence. So for 2026, we have a plan in which we need to embark on business. We need to figure out the activities, figure out how to engage the community and prepare for a plenary meeting on these topics, and ideally trying to understand the impact in terms of applications and cross-disciplinary research around quantum computing and its cascading effects on us all.
Thank you so much, Jim and Santiago, and welcome. Welcome to the chairs, and I know we're all excited to get to know you all. All right, next up we have the EPSCoR Cyberinfrastructure Interest Group, and I think that's Venice.
Yes, thanks, Daphne, and hello, everyone. I am Venice Bayrd, and I'm one of the co-chairs of the CI interest group, EPSCoR CI interest group with Scotty Strachan of Nevada and Sean Cleveland from Hawaii. I won't go into what the EPSCoR program is so much today, except to say that it focuses on developing competitive research within EPSCoR jurisdictions, and so likewise our CI interest group is aimed toward geographic equity in the distribution of CI resources across the country. And so that is one of the main goals that we are working toward with this interest group. In 2025, we did give invited panel presentation on NSF EPSCoR Live. We had other plans in 2025 to work with and liaison with NSF EPSCoR that because of the current administration situation, fell through. But we hope to pick those up when things get a little bit better for NSF. In 2026, we are planning for quarterly interest group meetings, and we're also planning to hold in-person meetings at the NSF EPSCoR Annual Summit, and also at the PERC 26. We are looking forward to holding a Birds of a Feather. Next slide, please. I don't have a lot of time to go into these, but I just wanted to pull forward these 3 provocations that we shared during the NSF EPSCoR live presentation that we went into more. And if you're interested, I guess that's all the time I have, but this is what our group is about. Thank you.
Thank you, Venice. Next up, we have the AI Facilitation Interest Group, and I believe Daniel Howard is going to speak to that.
Yep, so I'm Daniel Howard. I help co-lead the AI Facilitation Interest Group, or AI FIG. This past year, Faru and Samir have joined on as co-chairs of the group, and very much appreciate their contributions. So we've had regular monthly meetings, mostly with invited external speakers frequently, spanning from narrow palette kind of discussions and sharing of those resources, discussions on AI ethics, AI-based scientific assistance, HPC ed training, and incorporating of AI facilitation training materials in that and similar training repositories online, as well as documenting AI in HPC context, specifically focusing on some work I've done, at least at NCAR, for AI for numerical weather prediction. So nonetheless, we continue to promote AI-related events of interest to the CaRC and RCD community, and we also completed a survey on group interest that I'll show on the next slide. But focus for next year, there will be this, responding to that survey. If you want to go back one slide briefly to finish out those last few points. Otherwise, I just start with the survey results there. So nonetheless, our focus will be on the AI facilitation kind of group work. I'll mention from the previous slide before it jumped on me, just we have some upcoming talks on Nexus, a unified AI and HPC platform, advancing features of scientific discovery by Suresh Madhu, as well as then the One Oklahoma Cyberinfrastructure Initiative and AI Consultants Program by Henry Neiman. So a stretch goal will be to foster a new working group through our group, and we can speak to some of those priorities identified from the survey results on the next slide. So from those survey results, there's a priority for AI infrastructure and ML ops, as well as computer development and skill building for AI. And then a third one was data management and fair principles. So that's just an order of priority, and you can review that further. Some of those details are shared in our running agenda notes, and you can refer back to when they were shared. Nonetheless, we still welcome works in progress or complete projects to be presented upon or shared with our community. So feel free to reach out and discuss with us if you'd like to present something you're working on in the AI space that you'd like to share, and happy to collaborate more with other people at CaRC. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. All right, next up we have HIPAA challenges, and I believe Deb McCaffrey is going to speak.
Yep. This is an interest group that is mostly like a venting group. We're not very on task. We mostly just kind of brainstorm together and talk about our problems of the day. But we still do have some casual goals of doing an actual something. So we're working towards that. We did write a response to the proposed HIPAA rule change earlier last year, which was exciting. And we've also been talking about with Carolyn Ellis, who is the head of the Regulated Research Community of Practice, and also just really good at working the cybersecurity environment. Because we're all real curious about why it's so hard to get clinical data if you're not in a clinic. So we want to do something to figure that out, like a workshop where we bring all the compliance people and ask them, why don't you share data? Something like that. But yeah, it's a fun group. If anybody else is interested, let me know. We do presuppose that you have knowledge of HIPAA already.
All right. Thank you, Deb. Next up, we have research cybersecurity. I believe Sid, are you going to speak to that?
Sure thing. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I believe we probably are all starting to hear some overlap amongst the groups, as am I. We started our cybersecurity interest group just about a year ago. And where there is overlap with things like Deb just mentioned in the HIPAA group and with the regulated research community of practice that Carolyn leads, we focus more on general research cybersecurity. So it doesn't necessarily involve anything regulated or anything requiring compliance. This is just, how do we secure research on our campuses in the various ways? Are there policies? Are there programs? Are there, institutional requirements that folks have to meet? Who's responsible for that? And who pays for it? So in, highlights for 2025, we formally launched the interest group and finally got it off the ground. It was a continuation of a group that started out of a National Science Foundation grant through the Research Security Operations Center, Indiana University. Some of our highlighted topics included, and our most interesting topics included discussions about NSPM 33, we had an activity and some breakout groups that resulted in some recommendations about how to avoid breaches on campus, security breaches, and mostly involving like discussions over small server deployments, et cetera. And then we did discuss a policy that the co-chair of the group, Jeffrey Weekly, UC Santa Cruz, had drafted for their campus. We discussed this server management and security policy, and it resulted in a lot of interesting ideas. So plans for 2026, we are planning a co-located meeting, perhaps a BOF. We will have a presentation coming up about artificial intelligence and cybersecurity involving research on our campuses. We have a discussion coming up securing high-performance computing on our campuses. And our monthly call topics really, we like to say, as a general description to our community, it's a community where the intersection of research facilitation and cybersecurity are coming together. So a lot of it involves how do we talk to researchers? Next slide. I think there was one more. This is just a little bit about our group, what we discussed. So, recommended best practices at the intersection of research, computing, and data facilitation and cybersecurity and research. We are welcome to new members joining our group. There's a link there if these slides are available after the fact, or you can always just email us. I believe I did not put our email address on there. I believe it's rcs-coordinators@carc.com.
Thank you, Sid.
Thank you.
And next up, we do have the Workforce Development Interest Group. I saw that Michael has joined us.
Yes, yeah, I made it just in time. Thanks, Daphne, for putting us last. Yes, so Betsy Hillary and I co-lead the Workforce Development Interest Group. We actually technically newly formed in 2025 by merging what were formerly the staff-focused and student-focused arms into a single group. We've got a new steering committee giving us some great support. We did have a paper at PERC 25 with a catalog for RCD professional development. I definitely recommend checking that out. And we had multiple calls about developing student workers. Really, overall, we look for topics that are of interest to professional development of ourselves, of students who work for us, of people we supervise for people who are managers, for ourselves, whether we're managers or not, and more. In 2026, we're looking for volunteers for a couple great opportunities. And part of that, we've developed an explanation of why you should volunteer for CARC. So we're hoping to build on Nexus Day 2025, for those of you who might have attended last summer at PERC, to create a sustainable, accessible catalog of resources. We're especially looking for people who are interested in building student engagement in CARC. We've gotten some traction there. Have a group of volunteers starting up and are looking for more. We're recruiting volunteers specifically to work on student micro-credentials, but more broadly on student engagement in CARC as well. And you can email us. I added our email address too late, but it's rcd-workforce-chairs@carc.org to reach Betsy and me if you're interested in any of these volunteer opportunities, But overall, if you join our interest group calls, we're usually second Tuesday of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern, except for next month, and learn about student and full-time staff professional development opportunities. Quick plug, next month's call will be 1 week later than normal due to a confluence of conflicts. So it'll be on Tuesday, March 17th, 2 p.m. Eastern, be joint with researcher facing, great opportunity to learn about how to contribute to open source projects.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. All right, next up we have the RCD Professionalization Working Group. I think Ashley was going to speak. Oh, is Ashley not here, maybe? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and move past them for now and see if possibly they had some other overlapping meetings and we're going to join later. So we'll move past them, and if they don't come back, we'll maybe just try to go through their slides on our own. That takes us to the CARC capabilities model. Patrick.
Oh, hi. I'm actually
sorry, John.
John Hicks from Internet 2. I am neither Patrick or Lauren. Patrick is traveling and Lauren's under the weather. But I've been involved with the capabilities model since its inception. And for those new to this, it's a self-assessment for campus or institution capabilities. So it's modeled around all the facings, and we have a set of questions for each of those topics. Last year, we released a new version, and it included an essentials version, which is sort of pared down for smaller institutions. We heard from the community that it was a little overwhelming in some cases, so we created a new version, and the release also had some other capabilities for manipulating the model and refreshed a lot of things. Last year we had a Nexus Day event where we took a critical look at the questions itself, and then have taken the input from the working group and the workshop, and have been working on the questions. So this year we follow on with that, and we've looked at sort of common principles for reducing the number of questions. I believe we're down to maybe about 100 on the full version, and we'll have a new release coming up. We are taking those questions, and we will have some focus groups coming this spring to look at those questions, and everything from wording to making sure that we're covering all of the topics carefully. We are planning another Nexus Day event where we will explore the questions in more depth, and so we hope to see you there. Next slide, please, and I'll just show the capabilities model. So this is the model, the portal there. You can log in with your institutional credentials, and if you have any questions, go to the working group page and email the chairs. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, John. And the RC&D Nexus Day event that John mentioned is a workshop. If you're not familiar with it, it's a workshop that CARC holds every year. For the last, we're coming up on, this one will be our 5th. And it is typically held the Sunday before the start of PERC, and it's free for PERC registered attendees. So we'd welcome any of you guys to join us for that this year. That brings us to the CARC Engagement Operations Group, and I think Chris Reedy's gonna take that one.
On behalf of Julie Mile and myself, Chris Reedy, welcome to this meetup. I have to say this is actually the sequential presentation style here is giving me flashbacks to my law school days when the professors would call on us one by one, and it was terrifying. But this is a much friendlier crowd, so I'm liking this more. We spend quite a bit of our time supporting engagement activities, supporting Daphne in particular. So that might be this meetup, for example, or coffee with CARC, which we do at the SC25 or PERC or both. I'm going to come back to the Beyond R1 project in a moment. This year, we have a couple of extra activities supporting a wall of thanks for those who have volunteered and helped out. and extending some more engagement events using our tool called Wild Apricot, which gives us a lot of data sources to come up with new ideas. Next slide, please. So Beyond Our One project popped up in one of the annual meetups that the chairs had, going with the notion that CaRC is very R1 focused, large institutions. Many of us who spend time supporting CaRC come from such institutions, and we bring that mentality and focus with us. So this project is looking to expand to smaller institutions. We don't really need to define the size. Typically, it's just any institution smaller than R1. So we are in the middle of coming up with ideas and plans for actively getting started on that this year over the next month or two. So if you're interested in that, reach out to us. Daphne mentioned a contact earlier.
Thank you, Chris. That takes us to RCD Mentoring Working Group.
Hi, everyone. Halper is here. So Betsy is traveling, so I'm going to be presenting the slides. So our working groups, 2025 highlights. So at the beginning of the year, we developed a proposal discussing an RCD-wide mentoring program, and this was reviewed by the chairs. And then after that, we actually launched our monthly working group meetings in spring. And then since then, we started communications with different RCD groups, including groups in different organizations like EPSCoR. We met with EPSCoR's RCD community group, and then we met with CCMNet, because all has touched upon like mentoring in the RCD space. And we talked about possible collaborations and how we could leverage the resources that are available in these groups and organizations. And within the group, we started developing the program requirements if we want to move forward, because we want to move forward with the proposal for the mentoring program. And this year, we want to complete forming our advisory committee. And then we want to join to facings calls to introduce the program. So either we get more candidates or for like mentoring, or as mentees and mentors, or if people want to be involved in this program. We are working towards developing a website and available documentation for the program. And finally, we want to establish a pilot, maybe the first cohort for the mentoring. The next slide is just an introduction for the program or for the working group. We meet Thursdays, first Thursday of each month. And this is our email if you want to join our group. And if you use the QR code, you will go to our website to see more details about the working group. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Alper. And next up, we have the Anaconda Transition Working Group.
All right.
Manasvita?
Yes. Hello, everyone. So we are from Anaconda Transition Working Group, or ATWG for short. So it's myself and Jeffrey Lentner at Purdue. So most of our focus last year was essentially gathering clarity from Anaconda Incorporation regarding their updates to terms of service, because they were also going back and forth in terms of finalizing the details around what would entail as a paid service versus not. So by fall of last year is, I think, when they mostly put out a stable version of their TOS. And that helped us a lot in sort of streamlining the white papers that the group was working on. And end of last year, we decided that we are going to merge the 3 white papers that we originally had planned for and actually put out a single one. So early this year, that merging was done, and hopefully we should be able to publish the single merged white paper by mid of next month. Then in addition to that, Or actually, I should say, leading up to it, we had also done some tests, which helped us a lot in essentially capturing the details that we wanted to put in the merged paper. But the plan for this year would be to get the paper published, then also put a presentation together that we can then start circulating in our CaRCC community and also at our respective institutions, also gather community feedback from everyone, and finally sunset the working group. So that is essentially the hope for this year. And moving on to the next slide, this is, I think I had slide number 2, but that was just to show the group members, yes, and our website. We still plan to put out a second blog post pretty soon, which will summarize our work from last year. So be on the lookout and stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you, Manasvita. All right, and next we have the AI Facilitation Working Group.
Previous slide, please. Tim Ilcoop here. I'm co-chair of the AI Facilitation Materials Working Group, not to be confused with the AI Facilitation Interest Group, along with Lauren Michael. This past year, we wrote and presented a PERC paper on AI project facilitation guidance for research, computing, and data professionals, which is about the AI project lifecycle, a great resource for RCD professionals understanding how the AI research process works. Earlier in the year, we were part of an OU virtual residency panel that was recorded on YouTube, so you can go there. However, it's 6 months old or over 6 months old, so it's already out of date. For 2026, we just submitted a follow-on paper to PERC titled The AI Project Lifecycle, Implementation Strategies and Tools, which outlines the key stages along with the tasks, tools, and RCD resources that are most likely to enable and advance the AI work, and when to engage with RCD professionals. So look out for that one when it gets published. Next slide. If you want to find the last year's paper, you can click on the QR code there or point your camera at it. Next slide. In addition to my AI Facilitation Materials Working Group, I'm also a longtime Logistics and Operations Group Chair member, and now a shiny new co-chair along with co-chairs Lauren Michael and Dana Brunson. With a lot of things in logistics, most of them are boring, but some of the larger things that stand out are the logistics for the CaRCC Annual Meeting, the CaRCC Parade, CaRCC Exhibitor Table and Town Hall at PERC, and Coffee with CaRCC at PERC and SC. Some of the larger plans for 2026 is to migrate the website to a new host, automate more of the working and interest group management and creation, and much, much more. And hopefully you won't notice any of it. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, Tim. And now we're going to, Ashley's joined us. We're going to hop back to, sorry, bear with me, to the RCD Professionalization Working Group. Ashley.
Thank you so much, Daphne. It's been a day. I really appreciate you looping back around on this for us. I'm Ashley Stauffer. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Research Computing and Data Professionalization Working Group, along with Kimberly Grosh at University of Chicago. The big focus of this working group has been launching the RCD Workforce Survey this past year. So we ran it from July to October. We received about 1,100 responses, which has basically doubled our response rate from the previous survey that we ran back in 2021. And we were really excited that we were able to do some fundraising at Supercomputing and have gift card incentives for participants. So not only did folks provide us information, we were able to help. We were able to distribute some funds to them through gift cards for their participation, which was really exciting for us. We always want to give back to the community. For 2026, what we're focusing on is a short paper with a high-level overview of survey results, really focused on complexity and challenges of RCD roles to better aid RCD leaders in communicating with HR managers and senior leaders on the value add of RCD professionals and also the challenges that they encounter in their roles. If you like data analysis, this is your group to join. We have both quantitative and qualitative data, and more data than questions that we have to do right now. So we're hoping to make the data a product that's available to the community, as well as maybe creating a data visualization tool so leaders can slice and dice the information to answer some of their own research questions without having to get deep down into the nitty-gritty data. Also thinking about proposals and papers in addition to the short paper for PERC 26 this year. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ashley. And now we're gonna skip ahead again. Bear with me just a sec. And we're going to come up to Dana Brunson, who's going to give us an update on the Transitional Board.
Cool. Thanks, Daphne. Hi, everybody. So we're going to shift gears a little bit because I think I have the rest of the time if y'all don't come up with questions and put them in the doc. So I want to give you kind of an update on the work the Transitional Board has done over the past year. It's been pretty exciting, and we're looking forward to what happens next. So first of all, we really want to dive into first, why are we doing this? Which is a question we get asked more than anything else. CaRC has been around, as Daphne mentioned earlier, for over 9 years. Next year, don't get ahead of myself. In that time, we started as this informal community of practice, and we've grown into something so much bigger. So we have over 2,200 subscribers, hundreds of active volunteers, nearly 500 institutions represented. But all of that work so far has been supported by just a patchwork of NSF grants, in-kind contributions from organizations like University of Utah, Internet2, all of your institutions, and just a whole lot of volunteer effort. The reality is that our needs have outgrown what that informal model can sustain. We need software, we need infrastructure, we need operational support, all those boring things Tim talked about. And coordinating all of that without any legal status has become increasingly difficult. So for instance, CaRC can't enter into any formal agreements, it can't apply directly for grants, and it can't manage its own finances. So I want to be clear, incorporation is not going to solve those challenges overnight, and it actually adds administrative work and cost. But what it does give us is legal standing. So what we can see is we'll be able to formalize partnerships that we already depend on. We'll be eligible to apply for funding, and we can manage resources in our own name. So it's really about organizational maturity. I don't know why the slides keep going ahead by themselves. Anyway, this is going to give CaRC a foundation that matches the scale and importance of what all of us together have built. So we're still going to need to rely heavily on in-kind contributions from individuals and organizations. As you all know, this community runs on people like you showing up and contributing, and nothing about this is going to change any of that. So anyway, it was just about a year ago that we elected the first, what we call the Transitional Board. And that's our job, is to guide this organization through the incorporation progress. So here's the board members. Here's our board. I'm serving as chair. Lauren Michael, vice chair. Daphne, our host, is secretary. The rest of the board members are Patrick Schmitz, Amy Koshafar, Tom Cheatham, Bob Freeman, Jason Sims, and Jim Wilgenbush, who you heard just got reelected. They took the 1-year slot, so we're happy they're staying since we still have plenty of work for them to do. This group has not just been the kind of board that shows up and gives advice. They've been rolling up their sleeves and getting this work done that we're about to talk about. Next slide, Daphne. So progress year 1. So the first thing we did was get organized. So we selected officers. We decided who would take various terms according to the board rules that the chairs had agreed upon. We decided to tackle these 3 major work streams. So bylaws creation, membership model, and budget development. The subcommittees have been the engine of our progress. So I'm going to talk about those on the next few slides, but just want to thank the board tremendously, because there's been a lot of work going into this that has probably come out of their free time and in the middle of the night. All right, so towards incorporation. So the first big decision was, if you remember from a year ago, maybe you heard Daphne give a talk on various financial models. And so the group before that Daphne led worked through a lot of examples on whether or not we should pursue a fiscal sponsor as a short-term gap or go directly toward filing for 501(c) status. After looking through all those options and discussing it with the chairs, we recommended going directly to 501(c)(3) filing. Then researching where to incorporate. And so, as you all know, if you had license plates in Oklahoma a few years back, Oklahoma is okay. But it also turns out it's actually one of the easiest states in the nation to get for nonprofit filing and reporting. The filing costs are very low. The reporting is very short. And I happen to live here, so I can serve as the registered agent. So the chairs have also ratified our official legal name, which is coming at no surprise, as the Campus Research Computing Consortium. So CaRC remains CaRC, and that will be our formal name. We're also working with a company called Harbor Compliance that assists all sorts of organizations doing all the various very tedious filing processes across the country for what seems like a reasonable price. So we're still exploring that for sure, but that's where we're going. Next slide. So bylaws. So on the bylaws front, we're nearly done with a draft that's going to be shared with the chairs for refinement and ratification. But while this is up, I want to share a little bit about the approach. So the work isn't just done in the board. We've been developing the bylaws with continuous input from the chairs throughout the process. The most intensive work was last fall at the CaRC annual retreat. That gave us a lot of time to make sure that the board was working in service of what the chairs want. Basically, the bylaws are based on CaRC's existing charter, so they reflect the governance principles everyone here is already used to. We focused on using the bylaws to reflect the minimum viable part of what the legal requirements are for obtaining 501(c)(3) status. So keeping them fairly high level, because once they are ratified, they're not easily changed. So all the other things that we care about are going to go in CaRC's policy and process documents so they can maintain flexibility and adapt as the community needs them to. So we'll keep the operational details where they can evolve as needed. And so thanks to Bob and Amy for leading the effort on that. It's still going. And so thank you for your continued service. Next slide, Daphne. So one thing to notice is, part of why becoming a 501(c)(3) status is the right step for CaRC. Not only because the chairs reached consensus on that, but it doesn't magically solve our funding challenges. In fact, incorporation itself creates additional administrative work and costs. So Patrick Smith has been working on developing an annual operating budget framework so we can really understand what it costs to maintain CaRC central services. So, the Google groups, all of the Google workspaces, the wild apricot, all the work that goes into handling all those things and all sorts of stuff I'm not thinking of right now. But it's all CaRC central services and infrastructure that support all the activities that the groups you just saw deliver to the community. So the honest picture about this is that the member model, which we've intentionally designed with a low barrier to entry, will not come close to covering all those costs on its own. So it'll still remain, I know I keep repeating this, but I want to drive it home that CaRC is going to continue to run on the generosity of individuals and organizations who contribute their time, expertise, and their resources. and none of that is going to change. It does still give us legal standing for partnerships and grants and a more sustainable foundation over time. So then last, the membership model. Okay, so building on all of that, this is the one I think has caused a lot of interest, and we went over it, probably spent more time on this at the leadership retreat than anything else. But first and foremost is we believe that that CaRC has to remain accessible at no cost. You know, all the stuff that we're used to with the calls, the groups, the communications, and the resources, right? The fundamental nature of CaRC is to be accessible to everyone with as low a barrier to entry as possible, and none of that part is changing. What the membership model does is formalize things to mature CaRC. It'll provide additional benefits to active volunteers and paid subscribers and establish voting eligibility for board elections. Another key thing to keep in mind in comparison to some other organizations is it's going to continue to be membership by individuals and not institutions. So connecting this a little bit back, because I'm going to keep saying it, is it really is about sustainability. While we've intentionally designed this to have a very low barrier to entry, this means that so far this membership model is not a revenue strategy, right? It's just about formalizing our community structure and giving CaRC a foundation to build on. The real sustainability of this organization continues to be from in-kind contributions, individuals who volunteer their time and expertise, from organizations that provide staff support, infrastructure, resources. It's been true for the last 9 years, and it'll remain so at least for a while until we win the lottery. Oh, that's the other thing I forgot to mention, lottery winning. So anyway, this membership model has been refined by the chairs, just like the bylaws were. There's been a more recent meeting to go over these, and we're incorporating all the feedback from that. And then once the next bit of the process is once the chairs are satisfied, we'll have a feedback period with the broader CaRC community. And we anticipate rolling this out in 2026. That's Daphne wrote that. She is the one that is very ambitious. Thank you, Daphne. I think next slide is our last one. Okay, so looking ahead, here's the roadmap. So we need to finalize and ratify the bylaws with the chairs, submit our application for incorporation in Oklahoma. Once that's approved, we submit the federal 501c3 application, and in parallel, we finalize and ratify the membership model. So once we have the 501c3 status, we'll convert what is now the transitional board to an official board and appoint a treasurer, because we'll have all that sweet, sweet cash rolling in. Kidding. And if all goes well, this will happen by the time we celebrate CaRC's 10th birthday in 2027. So I don't know about y'all, but I can hardly believe that, one, it's been 10 years, but also just how great this community has become over that time. So this is going to be a lot of work. Incorporation is going to bring new responsibilities on top of what we're all already doing. But this is the consensus of the CaRC community. It's ready to stand on its own, and this foundation is going to open doors that have been closed to us, right? Again, the formal partnerships, grant applications, managing our own resources. But it will not replace the in-kind support and volunteer effort that makes CaRC what it is. But it gives us a way to build on that together. So, just in closing, I want to thank again the entire board, all of the chairs, and everybody that just shows up, because that's what this organization is all about. And with that, I hope you all have questions. Thank you, Daphne.
Just a reminder that there is a link to the doc in chat where you can type your questions. I'm going to actually start here with the third question, because it ties into what, Dana, you were just talking about. And someone was asking how long it will take to establish the 501c3. And I think Dana just touched on that in this last slide a little bit. But it will probably take the better part of this coming year for us to get that entire process finished. We, initially, I think we're a little bit, overly optimistic that we would get it done a little faster. But the reality of just all the steps that it took and working with a volunteer board that can only meet every couple of weeks, it's just taking us a little bit longer. But we are making good progress forward. And once we apply, it should the incorporation should come back pretty quickly. Oklahoma only takes a matter of days or weeks for incorporation to happen. And then we can apply for 501c3. And that is the thing that takes a while. It takes several months for the federal government to get back and approve those. And one of the things that we have to do before that is we have to finish our bylaws. We have to get our bylaws finished. So that's one of the things that we're still working on before we can actually move that forward. But we wanted to do it right, and that takes a little time. So let's see. How can I volunteer to support CaRC efforts? I think there's a lot of people on this call that would love to have you volunteer. So if any of you would like to speak up, I know there's myriad ways. We have lists on our homepage of the CaRC website. We always have our current volunteer listings there, and we share them in the newsletter. But there's ongoing ways too. And if any of the groups that are actively looking for people want to chime in here, I'd love to hear from you.
Daphne, I'll just mention, I said this a little bit when I was presenting before, but we're very actively looking for volunteers to work on student engagement with CaRC, including student micro-credentials, but also broader student engagement. So that's something we also are hoping to look for volunteers for a couple other things coming out of Nexus Day. It's all on the volunteer opportunities page, so including building that resource catalog for professional development into a sustainable resource. There's some interest in guide to navigating institutional culture or behavioral competencies. So if you're interested in any of those, they're all on the volunteer page, and you can email me and Betsy to let us know. We're trying to coordinate interested volunteers for any of those.
Thanks, Michael. Does anybody else want to take this as an opportunity to push your own volunteer needs right now?
I do. So the mentoring team also needs volunteers as we think about the program, especially as we near approaching like the launching the program. We really need volunteers for the operational tasks. So and there's a lot to do even in the beginning. So yeah, if you're interested in mentoring in any passion or form, please join our team, attend our meetings. So anybody is welcome.
Thank you, Albert. Anyone else before we move on to our most important question?
For folks who missed the beginning, both data-facing and researcher-facing tracks need some coordinators.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder, Deb. And yeah, we try to keep the volunteer opportunities up to date, at least on a monthly basis on the website. And you'll find that sort of toward the bottom of the page. And then also in the monthly newsletter, we include them there. So should we try to tackle the question about why CaRC is so awesome? I'm afraid we'll run out of time, right? Personally, I think it's awesome because I get to spend a lot of time with all of you guys. I just on a personal note came here about 4 years ago now, and I have just really come to view CaRC as a second home. You all are just an amazing group of professionals, so warm and welcoming, to newcomers, including, all of us that kind of move in and out of the community. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about supporting this organization. I just want to make one other comment about one of the things that Dana said in the Transitional Board, where she talked about that CaRC is and going to remain forever an organization that is volunteer-led, volunteer-fueled, and that one of the things that I really appreciate that we are hopefully going to be able to do more of with the 501c3 incorporation is provide more central services for you all so that you can focus on the volunteer efforts that are really in your wheelhouse, talking about RCD, leading things related to RCD, so that we don't have to, pull you into as many of the day-to-day sort of running CaRC kind of things. But happy to hear anyone else talk about why they think CaRC is awesome.
I'll tell one story. I remember when we first started CaRC and the working groups, and I don't know about all of you, but like back in our younger years, when somebody said you had to do group work, what was your reaction? No. But like when I joined CaRC and we started doing stuff and creating things and everybody was contributing, I suddenly became a person who loved group work. But that's, CaRC is known for like delivering value, and it still is. And that goes for interest groups too, and the tracks, right? Those are very valuable. Creating those, providing spaces for the community to come together and address challenges. That's what CaRC's about.
I think I can add to that to me, the amazing part is to be able to do all that on a voluntary basis. I think that's right away the most amazing part, and be able to sustain it for the last 9+ years, which kind of goes to show the type of mindset we all have. And I think that is the kind of energy that thrives within the community. And that's the amazing part for me.
I'll add to that too. It's the passion and the energy of the people that are making things happen at CaRC, and the collaboration opportunities to advance individual as well as group activities.
Nice.
Well, does anybody have any other questions or thoughts before we wrap up? We're happy to answer any other questions, or even just hear feedback. Right. Well, just a reminder, I'd like everybody to watch out for more information coming about our draft membership model. Once chairs is finished with their revisions, we're going to be putting that out for a review period and comment period from the whole community, and we would really welcome and actually appreciate everyone's candid feedback and thoughts so that we can make that just as strong as possible. And also, I'm very excited to be, I've already started planning for our birthday year next year. And so we'll have a sort of series of fun events and projects that I'll be reaching out to some of you to help support so that we can celebrate our birthday. So, all right. Anything else before we adjourn? Thank you all for sticking to your time. You've all been great. I appreciate that everybody works together and gets everything done for these. It's a big group effort, and that in and of itself speaks really highly to how effective you all are. Because as far as cats that need to be herded, you are not the most difficult cats I've ever herded. So I really appreciate that. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thanks for doing all the cat herding, Daphne.
My pleasure. Yeah. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.